We begin with an introduction to the acquire activity. Digital product require combination of the technology resources of an organization and even those that are procured externally. And for ongoing product operations, service delivery, and support, also additional resources are needed. That is beyond building the solution. And so to ensure the quality and scalability of products and services, organizations must have sufficient resources and sufficient elasticity in scaling up and down resources to adjust for the demand. And therefore, if the acquisition has to be done from an external supplier, then organizations also need to identify, select, and onboard such suppliers. And there has to be certain relationship management between the two organizations. And the quality of the resources and services coming from the supplier should meet the organization's requirement and comply with the applicable policies and regulations as well. This activity may also involve identifying and reallocating existing technology resources within the organization. So this can include securing resources for a particular product or service, either from those that are internally available from a resource pool or reallocating them from another product or service. Now, by resources, we mean they are from the 4 dimensions of product and service management. So it can be not just people, but also information technology, partners and suppliers, value streams, and processes. Here are some key facts about this activity. The purpose is to secure and allocate resources efficiently, ensuring the sustainability and scalability of products. So it's very resource focused. And typically, specialized procurement teams will be involved, but they will collaborate with the product teams, project teams, and others. This activity needs to be performed as frequently as needed, whenever triggered by request for additional resources. And also periodically or regularly according to contract review and budgeting cycles. And the key output will be, of course, the acquired resources and services. Key success metrics would be the quality of the resources and services that are acquired and the acquiring cycle time, adherence to the product roadmap and other relevant guidelines, and stakeholder satisfaction with the acquire activity, timelines, and acquired resources. So therefore, to successfully acquire, build, transition, operate, deliver, and support a new or changed digital service, organizations need to acquire or create the right combination of people, technology, and tools, partners and suppliers, value streams, and processes. Now, the acquire may be having specific requirements on what to acquire and when. And these can differ in scope, focus, and execution depending on the operating model and sourcing strategy of the organization. You might recollect that there are different types of organizations and therefore they have their own operating models. So an e-commerce company will have its own operating model as compared to a wiki kind of or a subscription-based service provider. And we have seen earlier the 6 types of operating models also in the digital product and service management. So it can be a managed service provider, it can be a software developer, it can be an internal provider, and so on. An operating model is a collection of the key value chain activities, the locations, the way the management is performed, the way the information is managed, and the supply chain management. The core of the operating model are the nature of the value chain activities. So the acquire activity aims to quickly identify and allocate necessary resources to optimize the value outcomes of the new and modified products while minimizing waste and expense. It also prevents fragile services by addressing resource gaps before they cause disruption. Because if resources are not sufficient, that can lead to disruption. And therefore, a disciplined or a proper acquisition process is needed. And otherwise, without such a process, even well-designed services may fail afterwards. Skilled staff may be lacking. There may be less qualified people, and some temporary adjustments may be made which may lead to some issues afterwards. Even transitions to go live can fail because suppliers get probably misaligned, or operational activities can suffer from underperforming infrastructure. Therefore, Acquire provides the right mechanism to mitigate these risks by ensuring that the right resources are in place at the right time under the right conditions. Further, regarding this activity, this secures and allocates resources and services needed to deliver the designed service solution, including vendor products, integration tools, and operational capabilities. Because typically after Acquire, we have build, transition, operate, deliver, and support. But the Acquire activity also feeds back input to discover and design. Therefore, improper acquisition may lead to trouble in those other areas, specifically the ones which are usually subsequent to Acquire. Then it allows and ensures that sourcing decisions are practical, cost-effective, and aligned with service commitments while navigating the realities of vendor relationships and other constraints. When performing this activity, the service provider acts as a service consumer in its relationships with product vendors and suppliers. So, if the service provider is not a product vendor, then product acquisition will be necessary. In ITIL version 5, we also have the ITIL Experience official book that provides detailed guidance on ongoing service journey for both service providers and service consumers. And there is also the ITIL Supplier Management Official Practice Guide, which provides guidance on selecting suppliers and acquiring services from them. Service providers aim to obtain all the building blocks required to build, transition, operate, deliver, and support the service through the acquire activity. And building blocks can be vendor licenses, hardware, software, cloud subscriptions, specialist skills, partner services, and so on. So this will include the initial provisioning for new services and also ongoing adjustments to meet changing demand, capacity, or compliance needs, which means that the acquisition is not static because later on, whatever has been provisioned may not be sufficient or maybe too much. So Acquire should take care of the adjustments that are needed. This is the service provider perspective for the Acquire activity. And we can see that Acquire and Build both are highlighted here because usually they are happening quickly in succession. And by Acquire and Build, after that, the service solutions are ready for deployment and integration. And they acquire and build together, they transform the product and service design into tangible operational solutions. So that's what we see in this picture. And if you look at the top portion of this picture, the product may be acquired, and then we have the built and tested service solution. And then other resources will also need to be acquired when before building and testing the service solution.